Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Lee's podcast. If you're a new listener, thank you for giving me your eyes and ears for the next hour. I promise I'm going to make it as valuable as physically possible. And this topic today is a very interesting one. And for those that come back every single week, thank you for your support. If you haven't already, head over and subscribe to whatever channel you're listening on. If you're watching on YouTube, we've got the video format. If you're listening on an audio platform, just hit that subscribe button because it helps more than you know. This week's sponsor is Ansem Skin, a natural skincare range for men, doing big things in the UAE here, especially tailored for men's skin, but they're a brand for good as well. So they're sustainable in terms of how they source their packaging, their products. And for every product they sell, they plant a tree in over 47 reforestation projects around the world. So I'll leave the sponsor in the show notes so you can go check them out. But this week's episode, dating in Dubai. We are joined by the UAE's #1 matchmaker. She is the real life hitch. And we're going to talk all things matchmaking, love, dating in Dubai, you name it. And I know that, I put a story out and loads of people have just put in loads of questions. So we're going to have some real fun on this one. So please join me in welcoming this week's guest, Christiana Maxion.
Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Hi, Daniel. Oh my gosh, I'm so good. There's so much going on in life right now.
You seem really high on life at the moment.
You know, it's really fun. I am high on life, like always, but I recently had a lunch with somebody, and they said, you are somebody my mother would describe as eating batteries for breakfast. Yeah. They're like, you don't stop, and you're constantly energized, and I'm like, yeah, like I totally feel completely on top of a mountain. Like I personally don't believe in burnout if it's something that you actually love and you're creating contribution to this world. So, I'm doing 1,000 different things, spinning 8 different plates, but I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it's so true. A lot of people do stuff they don't love, which is why they suffer from fatigue, because I think mentally they're just not in that place. But when you actually do something that you really enjoy, day in, day out with the people that you enjoy doing it with. And I think as well, especially when you've got a concept that helps people,
exactly.
It's not necessarily, obviously makes money because it's a business and you need money. You need a business to make money. However, the end goal must be so satisfying.
I love love so much, and being able to create connection for people is like beyond. I think about all the karma points I'm racking up.
Karma points, nice.
Yes.
So I've described you as the real life hitch and the UAE's #1 matchmaker. Yeah. So why don't you tell the audience a bit about who you are and kind of like what you do?
Yeah, so I guess I was coined the Dubai matchmaker when I first opened up my agency. And now people refer to me as the Billionaire Matchmaker.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of our clients, so for the agency, the offline agency where we're matchmaking, it's that one-to-one personalized experience. Our clients are high net worth, ultra high net worth men that want to date not just here in Dubai, but globally. Because it's not just me, it's a team of 7 of us all around the globe. I run Middle East and UK, so my bases are Dubai and London. And yeah, we help find them success. And gosh, we have over 95% success rate with that. And most recently, the last 3 clients I've had are billionaires, so it's nice.
So when it comes to, because obviously most people listening would have seen that film Hitch, where he goes to meet that guy in a restaurant and he's basically just like, I want women and I just want women. That's it.
Yeah.
Do you ever have those requests?
So each of our clients is completely different in what they deem as success when they come to a matchmaker. Most of our clients are searching for a long life partner. Some of them are looking for a marriage. Maybe it's their first marriage. Maybe it's their second, their third. Maybe it's their second wife, third wife. But then we have some clients that come to us who maybe are divorced. They got married when they were really young and they've never dated in their life. And they've never been on a dating app. They don't want to enter that online dating world. And because they're so high profile, they hire a service like ours because they're also buying like that confidentiality and that privacy that comes with a matchmaking agency.
Yeah, because I can imagine, especially when you reach that kind of billionaire status, that it's going to be very hard to just take a walk in the street and have a normal relationship and almost have it like people treat you like a normal person rather than the status that you are.
That's it, right? So a lot of our clients are Googleable. So with that, there's this like online persona that maybe people read about and they put that kind of picture of them in their head rather than maybe coming at it at face value and getting to know them from zero. So we kind of do all of that interviewing to vet, verify, and qualify certain women that we put on dates with them in order to make sure that there's alignment.
Yeah.
Because even though all of our clients are so different, like age, career, industry, status, and even though they're all so different, like the common thread amongst them is that they're time poor. So they hire us to expedite that process. So then they're actually getting in front of women that they have alignment with, similar goals, and like they're not wasting time swiping.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because that world is a dangerous world, right? I mean, I think I heard you on a podcast actually describe it as something scroll. I can't.
A scroll hole.
Yeah, scroll hole. Yeah, and I was like, that's so good because everyone calls it usually the doom. Was it doom scroll or whatever it is? But I was the scroll hole. I was like, that's an even better terminology because that's what it is, right? And I think you know, having been a part of that world once upon a time, you know, you just, I don't know if it's the same in the, I've lived here now for 10 years.
Okay.
So I never really like, by the time I came here, like Tinder and all that sort of stuff wasn't a thing when I was in the UK, really. It only became like a big thing here. And then over time, it did become extremely hard to actually find real people.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, there's a guy that's got a podcast here called Dating in the Desert.
Oh, cool. I got to link up with him.
He's pretty savage host though.
That's okay.
But
I like savage.
No, he probably wouldn't be savage to you, but he actually gets on different personalities where he just basically rips into what you would call a gold digger and why they have those values. Like why, and it's not necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily, it's the most, let's say ethical, because sometimes he does really go in on his guests, but it's good to see a different perspective. But there is so much of that. Like, you know, you go through some of the profiles and it's just like, I want a rich man. I want this. I want that. And some of it is just not even, you know, they're focusing on what you have, not what you are. Definitely.
And that's also a main reason why our clients come to us. Because maybe they're encountering women like this who are looking to live a lifestyle rather than build a life with them. So they're focused or hyper-focused on the wealth rather than the character of the individual and actually looking to build something together. So that's like probably the number one thing like our clients like say sometimes is I keep encountering this type of woman. That's not what I want. I'm looking for a woman that I put on a pedestal, not just for her looks, but for her successes, achievements, accomplishments.
Yeah.
So they're also looking for that intellectual stimulation, emotional connection, because, I mean, you need that in a lifelong partner.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, especially, but do you think that they attract that type of partner because because ultimately you will attract what you seek, you know? So if you're looking for that type of relationship, do you think that, because being a man and having had that part of my life, I can, you know, be self-aware enough to say at once upon in my time, that was something that I seeked, you know, and that's why I attracted.
Definitely. I mean, it is like what you put out there is what you're going to attract. Like I always say, like things are like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and like we can like flip it a bit, you know, when people say, I don't need a man, I don't need a woman, and I'm never going to find somebody. You're probably never going to find somebody. It's like all like what you put out there. But I also think that wealthy men probably attract those kind of women who are maybe putting up a facade in the beginning, and they kind of, I don't know if I can say this on here.
Of course you can.
Okay. They're called semi-pros. Okay. And semi-pros are women who aren't necessarily workers of the night, but kind of are in relationships to like get as much as they can out of it financially, whether that's cash, bags, shoes, all of that, holidays, right? And they're called semi-pros. So it's like the women who kind of like lure you in the beginning under like this kind of false pretense that they're actually seeking a real relationship. And then few months down the line, you realize like, oh my gosh, I've spent so much money on this person, time on this person, when in actuality, we're just looking to live a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So what we do as matchmakers is we weed that out. We really understand what this person's true values are, what their alignment is, or like their future goals are going to be. And I've been doing this for some time, so I think I can figure out I can figure someone out quite quickly.
We'll come on to the matchmaking process shortly. But one thing I want to do, and I always do with all my guests, is rewind back to your early years.
Okay.
You come from a good family. You know, your dad was extremely successful in the baseball world, if I'm corrected.
Yeah, he was a baseball player.
But what was it like growing up in your household? What was your first experience of relationship and love?
So my parents are high school sweethearts.
Wow.
Yeah. They met. So my mother grew up in Manhattan. My father grew up in the Bronx. They met when they were 14 and 16 years old.
Wow.
Now, they have the same birthday, but 2 years apart.
Which is?
April 18th. And they've been together ever since they were 14 and 16. Like they had like one breakup, like when they were teenagers, right? Yeah. And then they've been together. Gosh, they've been married since my mom was 19 and my dad was 21. And they got married on their birthday.
Wow.
So April 18th is like a huge day in our family. I love it so much. And they're still together today. And what I've seen with them and in their relationship is not only have they built and grown a family, but they've built businesses together. So I've seen them also work as a team, and that dynamic and what that looks like, both ups and downs. But how they showed resilience and grit in relationships. Because what is missing now in 2024 in relationships, mainly probably due to like social media and like the swipe cycle that you get stuck in, is that people are constantly searching for like the bigger, better, badder thing. Always looking at the grass is greener on the other side. You do one thing wrong or you give me the one little ick. Oh, I can find it somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's become very, humans in general, not just females, males and females have become very disposable. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So you can just literally off you go and you can literally break up from a relationship and if you wanted to, you could literally be on a date that evening with somebody
breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Yeah. And when it becomes that easy and, it's very hard to kind of control.
Well, you know what happens is that people are so quick to flee at like the first sign of any kind of like hardship. And that has really created less grit and resilience in relationships. And also this air of delusion that you're going to find 100% everything that like in another partner. And we're all humans. Like that's never going to be the case.
Yeah.
If you find 80%, look to build that 20% with that person.
Yeah, I think, and again, speaking from my situation, I've been with my girlfriend now for coming up to 2 years, but prior to that, I think I chose the wrong relationships because I truly didn't know myself.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? So like, I feel like that's a big contributor towards relationships as well, right?
I always say that a lot of people are dating right now and they're not ready to date. Now, when I say you're not ready to date, is that maybe you haven't put in like that self-reflection, had that introspection. Really sit down with yourself and say, okay, what do I bring to the table?
Yeah.
What kind of qualities do I have? What do I value? Other things like that. Like you need to understand yourself first. And then that is going to help you attract the right partner for you. There's also a lot of people who are dating that maybe, I'm not saying like you have to be at like the pinnacle of your career, but you need some direction, right? Like it's funny, like I always speak about traditional gender roles in relationships and especially in dating. And there are some men out here who who are broke and dating. I'm like, you should not be dating if you are broke. Like you need to get your ducks in a row before you think you can even attract the right partner for you.
Yeah. We like to call these guys fuckboys.
There are rich ones though too. So
no, for sure. But that's my terminology, not Christiana's.
Okay.
But no, going back to the parents then. So
yes, sir.
Brother and sister.
Yeah, I have a brother.
Nice.
He's married and his wife just went into labor right before this podcast.
Wow.
They're in New York. Everybody's in New York except
Okay.
me. I'm out here.
Yeah. So, and then your first relationship.
Yeah.
Because obviously coming from, because it's quite unique nowadays to hear somebody coming from, high school sweethearts and them still being together today. Like most people you speak to now, the parents have divorced onto their second, third, whatever marriage or just single. So being a part of that, like it must have given you strong foundations for what love should be, right?
Yeah, like my father puts my mother on a pedestal. Like he absolutely worships her, but then they have an amazing dynamic where they're a team and they come at things like together with like a strong like foundation and a front of, hey, this is us making a decision, not just me or I. So I see that, and that's the expectation that I have in my relationships as well.
And what was your first relationship? How old were you?
There's so many. I mean, do you want to go back to like second grade, fourth grade, high school?
No. I mean, the first kind of experience of love and heartache, let's say.
Okay. I would say high school, right? I was a freshman. He was a junior. You think that you're so in love.
Yeah.
He has a fast car, and you're just like a little freshman coming into high school. That was an interesting experience. There was like cheating that went on, and then obviously you cut that off, right?
Yeah.
But it's heartbreak, right? You're so young and you think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to find anybody.
I'm never going to fall in love. I'm never going to feel this way.
But that's just you being overly dramatic when you're a teenager, and also us women as teenagers.
Do you think you've ever experienced true love?
Oh my gosh, I've experienced true love so many times. I've been engaged. I've been proposed to a few different times. No, I've had amazing relationships. And every single one of those relationships, like I'm so proud to have had, because I feel like all of those lessons learned and the experiences that I've had have led me to the path that I have now and today.
So you moved to the UAE.
Yes.
What actually spurred that? You moved in 2016, I
Correct.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what actually spurred that on to like move to the UAE? So you went to Abu Dhabi first.
A relationship.
So it was love that took you there as well.
It was love.
Wow.
And love what keeps me here.
Nice.
Yeah.
And originally, you when you first came here, I saw that you published a book as well.
I did. So I had moved here in a relationship. He and I split. So I actually moved over here as a KG1 teacher. And I decided to stay rather than go back to New York. My parents were like, come back to New York. What are you doing? But I stayed because I really saw here that if you put in the work and you take action, you can make anything happen. So I became a national teacher trainer, a published author, and a leader in a school, all by the age of 28.
Wow. So you always had like, because I think that's the thing sometimes, is especially, no discredit to teachers, but obviously that in reality there is so many teachers that it's a very fine line between just staying a teacher or actually going on that career path and progressing. So
agreed.
You must have had like, what was it within you to actually push to like succeed within the teaching world?
So it's funny, right? I kind of was bred growing up to marry rich. I was always like, that was like put into my brain. You will marry a rich husband, right? And when the partner that I had, when I moved here, when we ended up splitting, it kind of like sparked a fire in me. And I don't know if you know that famous Cher quote, but her mother says to her, like, Cher, you need to settle down and marry a rich man. And her response is, but Mom, I am a rich man. And in a weird way, like I've always had that on like the back of my head. And maybe like a lot of people like doubting me, or maybe telling me or making me feel like I could never be anything without them. That kind of fueled me into being like, actually, step back and watch me do it.
Yeah, because I actually remember reading when I was doing a bit of looking into kind of your story and stuff, that one of your previous partners actually said to you, you won't be anything without me, right?
Correct.
Yeah. That's very interesting, because it's something that can really define who you become, because very similar to me, I remember when I quit the chefing world and I went to see a recruiter and she said, you're unemployable, go back to being a chef. Different situations, but same story. Like kind of like get back in your box. Like, and I was like, I'm going to show that woman. And then ended up going on to do pretty incredible things with my career and obviously vice versa. So it's but then there are people that can take that and be like, that's damaging. Exactly. And crumble and not go anything. But what was it that I suppose your parents taught you to actually push on from that?
So I started my career as an athlete. So I used to be a springboard diver. And like, you know, winning meets, being champion of things and, you know, all the practice and hard work that goes into that. I feel like I've always had a level of resilience and grit. And then through that specific breakup when I was here in the UAE in Abu Dhabi, I kind of was like, F it, I'm going to do it. I actually thought, like, I always knew I was destined for greatness. Or at that time, like when we had that split, I said, I am destined for greatness. I thought that I actually was going to become like this famous author, like a J.K. Rowling, right? And I had like this whole like series of books in my head that I was going to write. And then my path just took me in a different way where I opened up my matchmaking agency. Now I have my app and like it is seriously like I am on the cusp of so much greatness. Like I feel like I'm going to cry. Happy tears, like on the cusp of like so much greatness and I see it for myself and I know exactly what my life is going to look like this year, next year, the year after, 30 years from now.
Yeah, no, I really do get where you're coming from because I had a bit of a wow moment a couple of weeks ago, you know, with my business and I was just like, I felt like I could, I felt so proud to be able to like message my mum and be like, Mum, like this big deal's literally just about to explode. And just having that feeling with inside is just like, it's like, again, it goes back to the energy side of things. Like you just have so much energy to keep going. Do you know what I mean? Like working till late nights.
Building. Yeah. I love it.
And with entrepreneurship, everyone thinks it's extremely sexy that I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to make loads of money. It's like the opposite of that. It's like you're spending all your money, you're working late nights, you're not actually getting to do the glitz and glam of it. And I think that's something that is covered up quite a lot.
I always say that I work 25/8. Like 25 hours a day, I'm working 8 days a week, like legit.
Yeah.
And it's funny because so I was like now being like a tech founder and like a first time tech founder, people ask me or like they reach out to me, hey, I'm going to launch this app. Like, what's your idea? Tell me about your experience. I always tell them, I was like, don't do it. Like if you do not have tough skin, don't do it. And especially if you're going to be in the public eye, you get like a lot of like negativity or hate and things like that. And if you're somebody who can't push through that, it'll be very difficult for you to achieve.
No, 100%. I mean, from chatting to different entrepreneurs, you know, the most successful ones always say the hardest to launch is a tech business and a clothing brand. They're two.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'll do both then. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. I'll smash both of them.
I can do anything.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's also good to have that mindset. Do you know what I mean? It's just being able to think that you can achieve anything because you know, where there's a will, there's a way. And if you can actually paint that path in your brain, then 9 times out of 10 you'll get there. But quite an interesting kind of starting of the business in the matchmaking agency because you started an Instagram and you started posting about dating people.
I did. So, I love that account.
So what made you come up with that? Like what made you think about it?
So it was 2020 and we all were home. Yeah. I had way more time on my hands and I've always been a builder. Like I need to do things. And I decided to document my experience dating in lockdown. Like there were like some Zoom dates in there I thought which were so ridiculous. But that was the life we were living at that point in time. And then after that, basically showcasing what dating looked like in Dubai post-lockdown. Now, what I learned I love dating in Dubai. I think it's the best place on the planet. You meet the most amazingly driven, ambitious people. So I loved talking about dating and the different people that you can meet because it's like dating the whole map here. You can date from every single country, nationality, religion. It's really cool. Versus maybe if you come from like a more homogeneous town, right? I mean, New York isn't homogeneous, but yeah. But what I learned from that account was that people hated dating in Dubai. Men complained about gold diggers. Women complained about that men only want one thing. And I was like, And I've always been a solution seeker. I was like, there's a problem. Dating in Dubai is a problem for most people. And like I said before, the most amazing people I've ever met have been living here. So I said, I want to be the bridge that connects them. And when I first opened up my agency, it actually wasn't a matchmaking agency because I didn't go to matchmaking school or anything. I've just been an excellent connector my whole life. And my grandfather was affiliated with politics. So like I feel like I got that from him. My dad's excellent with people. Like maybe growing up in New York, I'm a very good read on people as well. And actually started, I was like a dating manager. Like I wanted to like manage your dating life because all these people are on so many different apps and all of this. Like, let me help you schedule in your dates. But then that evolved into a matchmaking agency. And because of the pricing, it was for people who had more success. And then 6 months in, we went global with the team. And yeah, it's crazy ever since then.
So you got a 95% success rate.
Over 95, but yeah.
Over 95 now. Okay, wow. And when we talk 95%, when we talk volume of numbers, like do you have like a count of how many people you've actually helped?
Yeah. So the way that we operate as a team is that, gosh, we have over 3 decades of experience as a team, hundreds of married couples, yeah, thousands of happy couples. And when I think about the couples that I've had here in just a short span that I have been working here since 2021, it's over 30.
Wow.
Yeah. I love it.
I actually listened to a podcast the other day from a guy. He's from the States, now lives in London, but he's a professional matchmaker as well.
Oh, amazing.
And he was actually saying that the most successful marriages, statistically, based on data, is arranged marriages.
Oh, yeah,
and the reason,
definitely.
And the reason why is because they've had people from the outside, like, for example, their families, or in your example, it's not arranged, obviously, but because you've looked at the personality traits and gone, these are the personality traits, this is what these person's values are, blah, 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 blah. The family or yourself would then match with somebody that has that same value. Whereas if you're trying to pick somebody that you want to be with, you know, first of all, you're a matchmaker, you've heard this a million times, like, you know, he needs to look like this, he needs to be this tall. Like, so I'm attracted to men with tattoos. Like, that's one thing that always used to blow my mind.
It's so dumb.
So I always used to think it would be the opposite way around. But then when you actually thought about it and understood the analogy behind it, it all makes sense.
You know what's interesting, right? Gosh, I read this quote the other day. I wish I had it in my brain right now. Oh, this is it. It was saying, the culture tells you love is a feeling. But God says love is a choice. It's a willing. And I love that because this kind of jumps off or piggybacks off of what we were saying before about how people are just so quickly to dispose of the other person if one thing goes wrong. When you shouldn't be falling in love, you should be walking in love.
Nice. I like that one. And when it comes to matchmaking, obviously you had an experience, let's say, as a consumer of dating.
Love it.
But did you have to go on any like courses to actually understand the concept behind it?
So I've always been an excellent read on people, and the real, like, you either have a knack for matchmaking or you don't. And a lot, like, the secret sauce to the recipe is having an extremely amazing database network of people. And that's how matchmaking really works.
You're like a recruiter for love.
Literally. That's exactly what we do. And like, we don't just stick to our database because our clients are so specific in what they're seeking. So we're always constantly recruiting specifically for our clients. And the reason why they hire us too, it's like, it's the whole concierge part of it. Not only are we interviewing, vetting, verifying all of these people for them, but we're also planning, booking, confirming the dates, managing the communication, evaluating the feedback in order to find you that partner, like expedite that whole process instead of you spending hours, days, weeks, years swiping.
Yeah, nice. Is there any specific characteristics that lead to successful matches?
Listen to me.
Here we go.
I will say that my favorite success stories are when I tell a client to go on a date with somebody, maybe they're on the fence. Oh, I don't know because their profile says this. I'm like, trust me, meet this person, because also in this world where we're judging somebody from like a flat profile, you must meet in real life to see if there's any connection.
Yeah.
Like, I've dated guys that I've met in the real world. I would have never swiped right on them in the apps, right? But you just have a connection with them in the real world. So what I love about what we offer, and we're probably the only agency that offer you unlimited matchmaking memberships. You buy time with us. Obviously, there's a timeline on it. But in that time, you can meet as many people as you want. And this alleviates a lot of pressure because you're not just like, oh, I only get to meet 5 people. I only get to meet 10 people. You can meet as many as you want.
Yeah.
So when you have like that maybe match, I tell you go on the date, and they're in relationships now. They're starting families now. They're getting married now. I love that part of the job.
So what is the process? What is the matchmaking process that you go through?
Yeah. So it's a 4-step process in order to become a client. But once you are a client, we put together your profile. We can get you professional photos taken. If you need, we can send you to RTT, so rapid transformational therapy. Let's say you need to get over an ex or you're dealing with something in the past. We help you with that. We even have dental on call. We have stylists. We have anything and everything that you need to shine your brightest. Because when you are feeling amazing and you are a whole, complete person yourself, you will then attract a whole, complete person. And then what we do is we go through all of the women that you have said yes to from like a previous presentation. And we are the ones that contact them, send them your profile, see if it's a mutual connection. And then we plan, book, confirm, we get the feedback. And then that feedback is really where the magic happens because all of that detailed feedback helps us then establish who would be a better match for you if that person wasn't the right match.
Does the person get the feedback as well?
So our clients, if they request, we will give them feedback that's tailored, like not mean, obviously.
Yeah.
But that will help them to improve their dating.
Criticism.
Exactly. Now, yeah, it just depends, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What was said.
I mean, it obviously all sounds great. And we're talking about all the nice fluffy stuff and what's good about it. But what are the challenges that you've faced with matchmaking?
So we have some people. So we're very selective in who we choose as clients.
Yep.
So in that 4-step process of you becoming a client, being invited to be a member, we kind of suss you out. Like if you're a person in the video presentation that we present you and you're saying certain comments about the women, we know that you are going to be a difficult client, number one. Or number two, if the requirements you have are absolutely delusional, we do not take you on as a client. So, for example, I had a 41-year-old guy say, I only can be with a woman who's 18 or 19 because I want to have children. We're like, okay, the math ain't mathing, number one. We're like, number two, no, that's not, like, that's a different service. We do not provide that kind of service. So you can tell a lot about each person through the 4-step process. But this is why the women in our database, because we have amazing, incredible women, go on dates with our clients because they know that they have also been through a vetting process and that they're going to be going out on a date with a genuine human being who has a genuine interest in a long-term relationship.
Yeah, because I was going to say about that actually, because, we talk about men, but also a big thing in today's world is women. Like there's a lot more single women that want to be with somebody but doesn't fit their criteria. So it's like, do you when you matchmake, I know you matchmake and you pair men with women, but do you actually take any female clients on and matchmake them with men?
I have taken on a few female clients, ones that we know that we can find success with. Oh my gosh, is this going to get me canceled? A lot of people are delusional nowadays, okay? They're suffering from dating delusion, that they're going to find this perfect partner and that themselves are the perfect person. When in actuality, what kind of introspection have you done? What kind of qualities do you have? What do you bring to the table in a relationship? I had somebody the other day, female, do a consultation with us, and she was saying that I want a fit man. He needs to be fit. He needs to be at the gym, have a 6-pack, this and that. Now, this is a person who is not fit, who is saying that. So there's no way on this planet that a fit man would be interested in being with a woman who is unfit, doesn't go to the gym, doesn't eat well, doesn't take care of her appearance. So in all honesty, if you're writing down this list of things that you want in a partner, you need to reflect and think about, are you any of these things on this list? Because it's very hard to attract a man who is into fitness and wellness when you are not somebody who is.
Yes, it's so true. Just talking even about an experience of mine where once upon a time I dated a girl and she didn't go to the gym. She couldn't get her head around why I like to be up before the sun rises.
Yeah.
She couldn't get her head around why I didn't want to drink, didn't want to smoke, didn't want to do any of that, and got classed as boring. So
I love a boring guy.
Wanted.
Give me all the boring guys.
Yeah, exactly. So wanted part of me, but the actual me wasn't what she wanted. And it's so true because, you know, again, just talking from experience and when I started to become a lot more self-aware, I kind of became my own matchmaker where I'd almost vet my own, like I used to have a process of, you might not agree with this because I know you like
go for it,
dates,
but
I
tell you.
I used to go, right, okay, so if there's a connection, first thing I'm like, and we're talking about a virtual connection, first thing I'll do is coffee or lunch. Have a chat.
Lunch is okay.
I
hate coffee.
I've taken for a few coffees. But the reason why is because I wanted to know if the connection was deeper than just an online chat that's a bit exciting. And like you say, just going through that vetting process. And the reason why is because being a man, and I obviously understand my roles as a man, I think men are taught to understand their role. You know, we need to provide. Good men, yeah.
Protect and provide.
Protect and provide, exactly. But I think a lot of women are unaware of what role they should accept.
And also what role they should play. And we'll get into this. Yeah.
Because you have so many women that will say, I want this type of man. But it's like, okay, cool. I'll be that man. But what woman are you going to be in this relationship?
Yeah.
What role are you going to play? Like if you want to play the whole, I'm going to provide everything for you, then are you going to do the traditions of what a traditional woman would do if she is in that role? And you then start to find that a lot of women are like, well, actually, no, I don't like cooking. No, I don't like doing this. No, I don't like doing all the traditional things, right? So it's almost like a bit of a vicious circle.
What I find a lot too, right? So I get people who do this whole like doom cycle in their head too, where they go, I'm going to be single forever. I'm never, ever going to find anybody. Or I hate when women say men are intimidated by me, like if they do have some success. I actually think that successful men and successful women are great matches for one another because, so yes, men are bred to protect and provide. Now, if they're with somebody who doesn't understand the hard work, time, and effort that goes into being a man who can provide, right, and can protect, then there's kind of this disconnect of maybe the other person doesn't value them or see or appreciate all of the things that they do for them. When if you're somebody who also has similar success, or you're not even in the same industry or anything like that, but level of passion, right? You understand the hard work and dedication that goes into achieving something. It's much easier to find common ground and to show your partner appreciation and that you value them.
Yeah, no, 100%. I completely agree. It's that is an attraction, like in itself, to have somebody that cares about something, you know?
Yeah, passion. You need something. I hear from a lot of women, and like, you know, anybody can apply to be on the database. But a lot of women who put in like their ideal match is a man who earns this, who has this type of success, this, and that. And it's interesting because then I read through their profile. I look at what university they went to, what their career is like, what is their professional timeline, and things like that. And it's like a mismatch because a man who has achieved a certain level of success is very attracted to a woman who has a level of passion, successes, and achievements of her own.
Yeah.
It's going to be very hard for him to respect that person if they haven't achieved as well.
No, 100%. I get obviously a lot of requests for people to come onto the podcast, and I had this one woman approach me once, and I don't even know what she put herself as, but she put herself as like a coach. She's like a female coach, teaches women how to date in Dubai, and it wasn't necessarily like dating as such, but it was like basically helping women navigate life. And I actually was.
That's a big task.
Yeah.
That's really big.
And I could talk for a long time about this coaching thing now. That
I hate
everyone
coaching.
puts on it.
I hate coach.
Like
I hate
everyone's
it.
a coach now. Oh, you're a life coach. Great. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But I and all my people that come onto the podcast or think about it, I'm like, interesting. Click on the profile.
Yeah.
And I went through it, and then I found this one video, and she was on another podcast, and she said the guy that I have to be with has to earn no less than $1 million dirhams. And I was just like,
what time frame? In a year and a month?
like in a year.
Okay. Then.
Well, sorry, a month per month. Sorry, no, it was per month because million actually, yeah,
Dirham
it's not a
is
great dirham.
270,
Yeah. But it was
200.
like I think it was $1 million dirhams a month. Anyways, it was either $1 million a year or $1 million.
Does she make that? That's the thing.
But what I found really fascinating was like, there's women that pay for a service from you, and you're setting their expectations to this is what you should be like. This is how things should be, and it was just.
You were really put off by it.
It blew my mind.
So I was recently on a podcast, and the guy asked me a specific question. He said, how much does your partner need to earn in order to be with you? And I was like, for me personally, it's 6 figures a month US, because that's how much I make, and I make more than that sometimes. So in order for me to have respect for my partner, because I think respect is so important in a relationship, we need to be on the same level. For sure, at least. And of course, if he's higher than me, even better. Because I like that dynamic where I'm mentored, where I can learn something. That's the kind of dynamic I like personally in a relationship.
Because I think just looking into that a bit deeper as well, I don't think it's necessarily about the numbers.
It's not.
It's more about the mental stimulation that person's going to give you.
Thank you.
Because when you earn that sort of money, you are obviously a high achiever. And you obviously do big things in the business world.
Yeah.
And whilst there's a number associated to it, I think a lot of the things that come with that is mental stimulation, and being a successful woman. It's like, it's very similar to a lot of people's choices is they want to be with a partner that mentally stimulates them.
You know, what's interesting too, right? So I've been interested in men before, and like, you go through the whole dating, you're getting to know the person, and I've had this a few different times, like where the dynamic is the guy is asking me for advice with business, and it's not necessarily to be like a ping pong, like to riff on things. It's more like teach me something, and I hated that dynamic. I felt like I was the man, or like that masculine energy, and I don't want to feel that way in a relationship. I want to be the feminine energy in a relationship.
But not that I don't agree with it, but also on the other flip side, what if somebody isn't earning that sort of money?
Yeah.
But
I've dated men who don't earn that much.
Onto big things.
I am so attracted to ambition, drive. I think that somebody who has, like, I fancy myself a visionary. So somebody else who has like that similar drive, ambition, I find extremely sexy. But when it's like when I speak about that particular dynamic, it was like constantly asking me for advice. Wait, so then where do I go from here? So you did step 1, and then what do I do? And it's just like, I don't like that kind of dynamic. If we're riffing about business, I love that. Ask me questions. Let's ping pong off of one another. Ooh, let's brainstorm. Let's do this. That I love in a relationship.
Yeah.
When it's just me telling you what to do, that's not sexy at all.
Yeah,
it's not.
For sure. So you obviously speak to a lot of men and a lot of women.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start off with the men. What is it that men typically want from a woman?
For real? No, I'm kidding. Okay, yeah. No, so
Give me your most exciting answer.
No, I coin it the new age trophy wife. I think like there's this misconception that men only want beautiful women. When our clients come to us because they're looking for a woman that they put on a pedestal for her successes, accomplishments, achievements. Men always come to me and they say, my woman doesn't necessarily have to be a millionaire or anything like that, but she needs to have passion. She needs to have something that she's passionate about. Because whilst I'm doing ABC, I want her to have something for her own, XYZ, right? And one of our matchmakers on our team, Katie Clark, I love her so much. She always says that men look for the 3 Fs. Fun, fit, and feminine. That's it.
Yeah.
Super simple. It really is.
Yeah, I think because there's an energy to it, right? It's and whilst fitness, it's not about potentially the way people look. It's more about
and again, this comes from, I think what's great about you being a female and me being male talking about this is that we're both talking about points of views that we also have as ourselves. And from a man's perspective, it's attractive when a woman cares about what she eats, cares about working out, cares about looking, keeping healthy.
Well, when you just think about longevity and building a family with somebody, you also want those habits, right? You want those healthy habits. And if you do plan to have a family, you want those healthy habits in your family. Think about longevity and living a life with somebody.
Yeah.
If somebody's unhealthy, it's going to be really hard to spend decades and decades with them and build a long-lasting family.
Yeah, 100%. And on the flip side,
Yeah.
women.
Women are so dumb. They just say tall. I always look at these profiles and I'm like, you're dumb. But no.
Well, that's the thing, because there's some really nice short guys out there, right?
I love men all shapes, no, not all shapes, all heights. But no, I think that women tend to focus on, like, we have a specific question that we ask in our database, like, what means more to you, looks or money, and like that gives us a lot of insight too into what type of partner you're looking for. But I would say that women focus on career, and they're also looking for somebody who is self-aware. I have, like, in the past year, the amount of profiles that I have seen where they're talking about a man with high EQ it's been astounding. I was like, wow, it's really changed. Emotional quotient. So yeah, like, just like emotionally intelligent. Yeah. So that word and like that phrase like I've seen that in almost 80% of the profiles that come in. A man who's self-aware.
I think that's why a lot of women want older men as well, because it typically between your 20s and your 30s, unless you're, you've been in a really good environment that teaches you to think in a certain way. Yeah. A lot of the time, ego just controls your life, which then prevents you from being self-aware.
I do say, though, that age is no correlation for maturity.
Yeah.
But yes, it's experience, right? You've lived more life. You've had more relationships. Maybe you've lived with a woman before. I think that is also great. And I also tend to tell women, too, that a man who is divorced or who is a father is a great thing, because it's kind of like a crystal ball into like your future. What kind of a father is this person going to be? Because some women typically write off a man who is divorced or who already has a family. And I'm like, oh, no. This is a great positive. You know that he can make a commitment, and you kind of have that crystal ball into your future.
How do you flip that into the female side of things, though? Because, without it being a sexist point of view, automatically, I think a lot of people just going into that opinion of a man having a child. If it was a woman on the flip side, a lot of, and I don't know what would be the reason for it, but typically men would be like, well, I don't care about that crystal ball, do you get what I mean? Because it's kind of, I suppose it's almost a stigma that's attached to a woman having a child over a man having a child, right?
There might be a stigma to it, but in all honesty, I see all types of relationships work. I even have like a lot of men that do come to us as clients, and they have children themselves. They love a woman who also has children. They do.
Nice. So business side of things, I just actually read today that you have just finished your first round of funding.
Almost, yeah.
Almost. Congratulations. Close to $1 million, I read.
So I want to finish it at $1 million on the dot. So that's why I said almost, because I meant to get an LOI today. So let's see.
Nice. And from coming from being a teacher into this world, like, that's a huge contrast. Like,
huge jump.
Completely different worlds apart. So, like, what would you say has been the most valuable lesson that you've learned on the journey between being a teacher to today? And I'm sure there's hundreds of lessons.
There's 1,012. No, but I'll say this, that I've always been a person. I mean, I think like that breakup kind of like defined me and like the trajectory of my life, because it also, without being in that relationship, I would have stayed in New York.
Yeah.
And for me, I felt like New York was kind of like a doomed city for me in a sense. Like, for example, like now I'm sober and I love being sober. And I felt like maybe if I would have stayed in New York, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to be that. And then moving here to the UAE, I feel like it's just the land of opportunity. If you take action, you can make anything happen. So I've always been determined, especially after that breakup. I was like, I am determined for greatness. I just know it. I would say a big lesson entering the tech world, because the tech world is was a totally different new thing for me. Advisors.
Yeah.
You need to get advisors. You need to talk and learn from people who are 1 step ahead of you, 10 steps ahead of you, 100 steps ahead of you. When I first decided to digitize my offline matchmaking agency and start an app, what I did was I told all of my friends, I said, I am looking to enter the tech world. Get me a coffee with anybody who's in the tech space, a founder, who's a fund manager, anybody, just put me in front of them. And the first thing I asked them was, tell me the 2 biggest mistakes you ever made and what you learned and how you solved it.
That's what you asked them?
That's what I asked them. I said, what are the 2 biggest mistakes you ever made and how did you solve it? And I felt like I gained 10 years of experience in 10 minutes learning from these people. So I just expanded my network that way, and I took a leap, right? I just said, jump and figure out how to fly. And that's what I did.
Yeah, I read that. You talk about that a lot, don't you? You know, jump and figure out how to fly. But for anyone listening, I've got a few questions off the back of what you just said. But the first one would be, when it comes to raising, obviously there's a lot of people that want to start businesses, especially if you want to start starting this in the tech space. How did you go about identifying investors? And then also, how did you get in front of them?
Friends and family first. You need to go to your friends and family, because also future investors want to know that the people closest to you have invested in you, right? Have they stuck their neck on the line for you? These are people that you've grown up with, that have raised you. Like my parents were my first investors, right? Yeah. So getting that cushion first. Obviously, in the beginning, you're going to put in your own money. There's also blood, sweat, and tears that go into that too. The first check I ever got from an outside investor that wasn't family, I put on my Instagram. I said, I always, the first of every month, I'll put down my accomplishments from the previous month. I'll write it down in a story, my goals for the next month, and strategies that I use to improve myself, what I'm going to be focusing on that month. And I put on there, it was June 1st, 2023, and I said, I want to close $250,000 US. I got a DM from one of my followers that said, hey, I'm interested in this opportunity. Never spoken to this person ever in my life. And I was like, okay, great, sure. And they're like, hey, I see that you also live downtown. Let's meet for a coffee. And I said, yeah, okay. I was like, I can't do today, but I can do Thursday.
Did you tell them you don't like coffee though?
No, listen, coffee is fine if it's business. Not for a date. I would never.
I'll have a peppermint tea, please. But tell me about how much money you got.
Exactly. So, no, we sat down. It was legitimately less than a 30-minute conversation.
Done.
And she asked me, she was like, so I asked her, I said, what is your capacity? So your level of interest, your capacity, and your timeline. She goes, oh no, I'm in. She goes, you said you needed 250, right? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, yeah, 250. And she's like, well, I leave for Milan on Sunday. Can I send it to you in 2 days before I leave? And I was like, wait. I was like, first, let me send you the deck. Let me send you more information. Because I felt like I attracted this in a way. And I almost was like a pinch me moment.
Yeah.
So I sent her the deck. And then maybe an hour later, she messaged me and said, send me the legal work and let's do it. And that was the first amount of money. And then that carried us for a few months. Next amount of money, it's interesting because in the whole fundraising, you meet a lot of people. Some people are wastes of time. Some people, especially in early rounds pre-seed, always say it's too early for me. So another reason why I say when people say, oh, I'm going to start this, I need to fundraise, I'm like, you need to have thick skin. I kind of equate
rejection,
lots. So I equate fundraising with dating. I always say date like a duck, right? Meaning water off your back. Nothing bothers you. And every yes or no is a yes because it gives you direction. So let's say I'm talking to you as an investor and you tell me no, that's good because then I can close that door. But then what I do is every single person that I have a touch point with along this journey who said yes, maybe no, I put them on a list. And what I do is I send monthly updates. about what we're doing at Maxion, because you never know, that little breadcrumb, they might be somebody that comes in 6 months later. They might be somebody who's connected to this, who's connected to that. I'll give you this prime example. I had a guy who, we had like 3 meetings, right? And he was drilling me. And it's funny because my investors before, my advisors called them love money.
Yeah.
So love money in sense of like friends and family, but then also that like they love me as a person, right? And this guy they call it tough money, right? He was asking me all like the tough questions. Well, then what do you think your valuation is going to be here? What do you think this? What do you think that? I had an answer for everything, and everything you don't have an answer to, you say, I don't know. Can I get back to you on that? Done. But I just kind of thought that it was like a lost cause. And then he was the one who introduced me to another guy who then were taking Maxion into Asia.
Wow.
So it's crazy because we literally, the first connections that we sent were on February 4th, 2024. This is going to sound like madness. The first amount of money I put into building a prototype was February 4th, 2023. We launched on the App Store December 4th, 2023. Like I said, Feb 4, 2024 was the first connections. And then Feb 8th was when they were like, let's take you to Asia. And I was like, wow. So
yeah,
there's lots going on.
So when, I suppose obviously great advice. And I was like so dialed in. I love this whole business chat. And,
yes.
And I suppose the other side of things though is how did you, like, what was the proposal that you put forward with these investors? Because you've obviously got a few investors on board now.
Yep.
Do you give them equity? Do you promise them money back? Like, how does it all work?
So usually if it's a tech startup, there is something called a safe note. So it's a simple agreement for future equity. And the reason why you want to keep it as simple as possible is because you're not making revenue yet. So there is no real valuation. So what you do though is you put a valuation cap. And a valuation cap is essentially kind of like the guideline for how much equity is given. So for example, my valuation cap was $5 million. So essentially, every $50,000 equals 1%. But that doesn't convert into equity until the future when we actually have a priced round.
So then when you actually get onto being valued
Yes.
at a $5 million business, that's when people get...
Well, what ends up happening is, so the reason why you have these favorable terms in the beginning, right? Because these are your first investors. You want to give them favorable terms. They're kind of like taking a leap of faith and jumping in with you.
They're not buying into the concept. They're buying into you.
They're
right
buying
now.
into you. So you give them these favorable terms, right? Now, we're already making revenue. And we're at a point now where we have a fully functioning product. We're about to start expanding. Like, it's crazy. So when we do have another round, that valuation should double or more. So then the people who came in earlier in the pre-seed, they already have an advantage because they came in at a $5 million valuation cap versus people in the next round who are coming in at $10 or $20 million. Yeah. So their 50 is a lot less than these people's 50.
So when it comes to the business now, so you've been launched. So your first connection, you say, was on the 8th of February.
4th
of February.
8th was when they said come to Asia.
Was that this year or last year?
This year, literally like 2 weeks ago. Less than 2 weeks ago, because today's 15th, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember seeing your launch party. And
yes, the launch party, then we had beta testing, and we went through this whole thing. I mean, I could do a whole nother podcast about tech. But...
maybe we should.
I know. I had to transition from an outside agency into an internal tech team. So there was like a lot of delay with that. But now we have an app that is like so amazing. And I just see just our future. Like, it's like I'm so happy with it. But it took time.
That's the problem with outsourcing, especially something as delicate as tech.
Oh.
Because it can literally ruin your business like that.
Especially if you're a tech business. So what I will say is do not use an outside agency to build your live product. Of course, outsource the prototype because that's just like your prototype, right? It's like your MVP, like what you're actually going to build. But something that's going to go live on an app store or on Google Play, please have an internal tech team. Have that together. What I had done was had an external team, and they just really screwed me a lot in so many different ways, especially with timelines and contracts and things like that. I actually ended up closing the contract earlier because I was just like, stop. And then we transitioned into an internal tech team. My tech lead is my heart. I love him so much. I think he's absolutely amazing. And yeah, now we're building something that's test of time.
I think that's one of the things that I found the hardest, especially with launching my own business, is you struggle to really trust anyone, especially outsourcing.
I have trust issues with tech because of this.
Yeah, honestly, like I think that is probably like I kind of solved my trust issues when I got with my girlfriend, and then all these other trust issues came along when I started a business. I'm like, oh my God, like. It is. I mean, I always say it, right? Business is simple. You just have to do the things well. Like, but there's just not many people that do that.
Let me tell you something. For people who are efficient human beings, it boggles our mind when somebody else just can't do their job. You're like, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, no, it's maybe that is something that we can actually talk about, because you know, the interest of people, especially on my audience, varies a lot, but a lot of them like business and talking about business. So maybe we can even do one about tech later on. But what differs you then from other apps like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and brands like that?
So our platform is specific for UAE right now. We wanted to perfect the market here and then obviously go into others. So it's very like city-based. So what it is you can apply to be a Maxion member. Anybody can apply, but it's all about who we accept and to be a Maxion member. So when you apply, we look at your LinkedIn, so kind of like your professional timeline. We look at your socials, your social prowess. And what we want on our platform are ambitious individuals, successful professionals. We always say like sexy and sophisticated is like our type. And then we also have EID verification. So your Emirates ID, not only to prevent like bots and scammers and people like that, but then to also cross-check that, make sure that you're a real person, right? Because on these apps, what people don't know, what people don't know is that the ratio of men to women is 70-30. So how these dating apps, traditional dating apps, like you mentioned, make money is time spent on the app. So what they have done is they've had to create bot accounts, spam accounts of women, fake women, in order to keep these men on the app because they make their money from advertisement dollars. Where on our app, you know that everybody's real and that there's a split ratio because that's how our algorithm works.
Yeah.
Once you do get accepted, you must pay for a membership. So there's no free. Like on these other apps, anybody could create a free account. No, there's actually true like intention with it. Now, instead of you swiping from like an endless pool of incompatible people, we send you compatible connections every week. You get to choose yes, maybe, pass. You get to see everybody who said yes to you, everybody in your maybe pile, everybody you've sent. But the true magic of it, and this is why it's like digitize my offline business, is that we marry compatibility and concierge. So through our partnership with 7 Rooms, let's say you and I are a mutual connection. You put in your availability. I then choose the availability. We plan, book, and confirm your date with our partnership venues out here, so you don't have to do any of the guesswork. You go on the date through our partnership with Yango, and then after that, we collect the feedback. And the feedback is where the real magic happens, because that internal feedback then feeds into our compatibility engines, perfecting that process. And the external feedback gives you direction, tells you whether or not I want to see you again, and vice versa. And then because we've launched here in Dubai, our cherry on top are our in-person parties.
Nice.
For like, so, and it's not like speed dating or anything whack like that, but
it's just where like everyone can get together and get to meet each other.
You maximize your chances of connection, and you know that everybody is vetted, verified in there, and it's also a great way to meet friends.
How will you be able to maintain this intimacy when you go global?
So actually, this was brought up about the expansion into Asia. We actually might take out in-person parties when we go to other places.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's always, that's one thing, you know, I thought a lot about is, you know, it's about how you create that community, like how do you create a good community? But then obviously the more you expand, it's like the harder it becomes, right, to maintain these key elements. But what about you? How's your dating life?
Oh, I recently broke up with a guy, so I'm single right now. But I love dating in Dubai, like I said. Yeah. I love it.
How long were you together for?
Not that long, less than 2 months. Okay. But it was a good relationship. Yeah, good guy. We played golf last week. I'm fine with it.
Nice. What's your handicap?
Me? Yeah. Nah, I just play. I get up and down.
And so what for you? I mean, obviously you're matching people for the end goal of family, marriage.
Yeah.
What's your end goal?
Of course, marriage, family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a billionaire, Daniel. So I'm gonna need to spread the love, create generational wealth for my family.
Nice. Right. So before we finish the podcast.
Oh no, it's done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, I could talk, but we have been going for just over an hour now. Time flies when you're having fun, but I always like to ask some off-the-cuff questions. Obviously, you saw I put that story out, and people were like, "Oh my god, I want to know this."
Yeah. Tell me. I love answering questions.
Right. So first question: if you could host a dinner party with 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be?
Okay, you want to know? Taylor Swift.
Yep.
I'm a huge Swiftie.
Okay.
Lana Del Rey. Like most of my tattoos are Lana Del Rey lyrics. Like I just think the two of them are extremely talented and they're best friends. So like I love that too. And gosh, I guess I have to pick somebody intellectual now. I would choose Elon Musk.
Nice.
I think that he is the visionary of our lifetime. He's a bit quirky, but yeah, let's pick his brain.
Yeah,
I feel like we would get on well. I feel like, so I call myself a Billy, like billionaire. I feel like Billies see each other.
Yeah.
We see each other. So
Nice. If you could match make 2 celebrities,
I already
who would
have.
it be? You have? Can you talk about it?
No way. You
Okay.
like you
Hypothetically,
would be,
then, who would you, if you could pick 2 people to get together, who would it be?
Ooh, this is a good one actually. Oh gosh, I'd have to really think about it. This was like putting me on the spot. Okay, how about this? You give me a celebrity and I'll tell you what kind of match it would be and if it is like a celebrity.
Oof.
I know, right? I can't even think of celebrities off my head.
No, I can think of loads, but even though he's married, Will Smith.
Oh, Will Smith. Oh, are they still married though?
I don't know. It's a bit of a weird relationship, but maybe you should hit him up.
Yeah, the hitch.
Yeah. Hey, Will, I got your back.
Hey, hitch to hitch.
Yeah.
I think that Will Smith, you know who might be a good match for him? Salma Hayek. I think that she has like a calming energy, but she's like super like sophisticated, but she's very funny. Have you seen that recent Black Mirror episode with her?
No, I haven't.
Oh, she's quite funny and quirky too.
Yeah.
So maybe them two would get on really well.
Nice. What's been your weirdest matchmaking request?
Besides that 4118. Oh, this is it. I had a guy once tell me that he could only date like 3-star signs. Like I can only be with I'm going to make this up, a Virgo, a Capricorn, and whatever. And I was like, is he serious? Like I thought he was kidding. I was like, is he serious, right? But he was actually dead serious. And I decided not to work with him. I actually did a trial with him. I said, you know what? Let's trial something for a couple of weeks. He was so serious about that requirement that I told him, I was like, you are missing a huge pool of amazing women because of this very silly deal breaker. Because in all honesty, we're all individuals. Just because you were born on this day doesn't mean that you are exactly this type of person.
Yeah.
It was so silly, honestly.
Yeah, I get that a lot because my birthday is on the cuff of Gemini and Cancer, but everyone classes me as a Gemini, and they're like, "Oh, you must have 2 sides of your face," and I'm like, no, I actually don't. Like what you see is what you get with me. Like there's no other alter ego, anything. It's like you will see the real me all day, every single day. But yeah, I totally agree with that. Do you believe in love at first sight?
I believe in lust. At first sight, 1000%. You can be so physically attracted to somebody, but I think that the best relationships are a slow burn.
How do you see the future of dating?
Hopefully happy with Maxion. Helping people
Fingers
actually
crossed.
find true connection. I think that a lot of people, like I mentioned before, this constant search for the bigger, better, badder thing, when what they really should be doing is finding that grit and resilience and building relationships with people, but not just romantic relationships. Think about friendships and business. That kind of like spreads across your life and the skills that you have in order to be successful.
And one of the most common questions I was asked, what advice do you have for singles looking for love?
Oh, I love this. Stop looking. Attract. No.
Join Maxion.
No, yeah, join Maxion. But honestly, throw away the list that you have of 20,000 different things that this person needs to be. Instead, what you should be doing is writing a narrative. Write a narrative about how you want to be treated and how you want to feel in a relationship. What does this relationship look like, sound like to you? That is so important, because then that gives you direction. And then instead of you focusing on physical traits of a partner, you are then focusing on building a life with that person.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And a really good way to close the podcast. So I really, really did enjoy. I knew I was going to enjoy this. I was actually when I was listening to this podcast the other day of this matchmaker in London, I was literally so close to WhatsApp and you've been like, I can't wait to have this chat, because I was just like, there was just so much that I wanted to ask. And I'm sure I'm going to walk away from this and be like, oh man, I wish I asked that question. Oh, I wish
we could do a part 2.
Exactly. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep all the questions that I keep thinking about. But no, I just want to say thanks, because obviously so nice to actually have time. I know that, especially being a busy entrepreneur that is, building a brand and so much going on, to take an hour out of your day to come down and chat with us and add value to the audience and
I hope I did.
add some energy. Yeah, no, for sure you did. And I could have talked about the business side of things for a long time, but again, like I say, if we come back to do a part 2,
we're here. I'll be a billionaire by then.
Yeah, exactly.
So done.
Yeah. But no, thank you very much. And I can feel it after chatting to a lot of successful people that you are on that path to being great.
Everybody says that about me. They're like, you're the person I believe in.
It's the energy. Do you know what I mean? It's the energy, and it's nice to be around people that, because energy is infectious, right? It's contagious. You can inherit that energy. Just very similar to people that suck the energy out of you. So it's nice to be around that. And you said something earlier on about Dubai being the land of opportunity, and I talk about this all the time, and it's amazing because you meet so many like-minded, career-driven go-getters here.
Totally. Which is why I said, when people say dating in Dubai sucks, I'm like, you're looking in the wrong places.
I always say, exactly. I always say, Dubai will give you what you want it to give.
Oh, 1,000%. You can make this city whatever you want it to be.
Well, thank you. And I hope you enjoyed.
Daniel. I did. I had so much fun.
So, thanks everyone for listening to this episode. Again, I say it every week, and I don't mean this that in like every time I say it, this is a standard kind of line that I say, but I genuinely love that episode, and I hope you did too. And if you do think that there's anyone else that could listen to this episode and take some value out of it, then please share it with them, because you guys coming back, listening every single week, sharing the content, liking, engaging, is really why we do this. I've been doing this podcast for close to 3-4 years now. And the only thing that keeps me coming back is the amazing conversations that we have, but then hearing from you guys all the exciting stuff that you've listened to, learned from, the value that you've taken from it, and hopefully help with your life as well. So on that final note, I'm just going to ask you to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell if you're on YouTube, comment away, and we'll see you next week. And thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
We did it. We did it.